Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Happy St. Patty's Day, Elliott. Elliott Serrano joins me in studio. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm early. I wasn't expecting to be on this soon.
And showtime.
But here I am.
Hi.
It's so nice to be here. So nice to see everyone. Happy St. Patty's. It's
Yes.
here. I have to make a confession.
Uh-huh.
I didn't realize St. Patty's fell on today. I thought it because Chicago was already partying all weekend.
Since last Wednesday.
Right? And so I thought it had to have passed by now.
I know.
and no, I find out that it's on a Monday. How do I find this out? Mm-hmm. I get a message, a text message from someone who says, "Hey, do you want to come over for corned beef and cabbage?" I'm like, "Corned beef and cabbage? Yeah, on Monday after the show." I went, "Okay, why so late?" Oh, because it is St. Patty's Day.
Yeah, we're doing it St. Patty's Day proper.
Yeah, so
Yes.
It's so nice. It's nice to be here. I know I've been very jealous because you've had Ken Mejia Beal in here.
I wasn't going to... I'm trying to balance it out. I know. You guys want to be here together. We'll do that again, too.
No, that's fine. Of course, I'm teasing because, he and I have been doing a thing right now, but it's like, oh, so look who's there. Ken doing the selfies in the studio by himself. So, Ken, not that I'm calling you out, but I am.
Oh, boy. No pressure. I have, in fact, been working the last 2 days on St. Patrick's Day dinner. And then when I clocked out of work today, I thought I had enough time, right? So I clocked in early, clocked out early, and I thought I could do it. I really thought I could do all of it. Corned beef with roasted vegetables, your carrots, potatoes,
good.
and onions. But now I have to rely on everybody at home with the timing of the rest of this. So what I did was... there's two things to this. I don't know if you've seen my new mission, which is Petty Patty going after.
Yes, I wanted to bring that up, but yes.
So yesterday I went to the store, got all my fixins for St. Patrick's Day, and I saw this recipe. When you're scrolling now, there's a lot of different takes on things, and I'm kind of combining. So I told Elliott that I'm a little nervous because I kind of combined 2 or 3 creators from online about what to do with corned beef.
Yeah,
because I like corned beef and cabbage, but I don't like all the boiled vegetable, like the soggy vegetables.
Yeah.
So when I saw you do it, the idea of doing it separately, which of course you always could.
Right.
But they also made this sort of ground mustard glaze with brown sugar.
Yes. No, when you mentioned that, I was like, oh, that sounds good.
Right.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
I was very excited. But then,
But folks, just not to interrupt, but folks, that means if you're not following Patti on her social media, trust me, there is so much that goes on outside of show hours, during the day, on the weekends. If you're not following Patti, trust me, and as someone who has worked on Patti's social media, and I'm still in there, and I get all the notifications from when stuff happens on your Instagram, your Facebook, and whatever, I'm like... Oh, boy.
I went at her hard, didn't I, yesterday?
You did, but I'm sorry. I think it was everyone, folks, it's again, if you're gonna shoot at the queen, you best not miss. And
let's not put it in those words, shall we?
Yeah, really.
If you're going to come at me, you better be ready.
If you're going to come at her, right.
Yeah.
But again, I don't mean to interrupt, but this is just me again saying, if you're not following Patti on social media, Instagram, Facebook, trust me, it is, it enhances the Patti Vasquez show experience.
Patti Vasquez show page. We have over 9,000 followers now. Remember, I was at 5,000 for the last decade.
Yep.
It wasn't until people started, getting enraged, but also finding a place where somebody reflected what they were concerned about, what they were angry about. So
and every message is read, just so you know. Oh. Everyone is, if it's read, it's seen, not necessarily responded to, but it's read. And mind you, the majority of the stuff that you get on your page is positive.
Well, you bring up a really good point.
Yeah.
Which is, so we are going to start picking people to, one, like if you have a business, I'm going to promote it.
Yes.
There was actually one I wanted to do. So we're not just going to be petty. We're also going to be, I don't know what the opposite, petty and proud. I don't know what the other part is. So we've started this. It started on Saturday because I had been outdoor knocking in Whitewater, Wisconsin. I met with the students up there. They're working on the election for Judge Susan Crawford for the Supreme Court because it is the most important race right now in the country. Elon Musk has put over $12 million in that race. And then
my little brother is campaigning for her. He lives up there, and he's been talking about her.
Yeah, she's great. And so I'm on my way back, and I get home, and I'm in front of, sometimes you pull up in front of the house before you go in, you scroll a little. So this guy who is on my page every single day, like, it's even meaner than usual, right? Usually he says something innocuous or stupid, whatever. But this was an F you, it's like F yourself, you're a wannabe. All of a sudden I was like, I've had it. And so I am now dedicating, every time I get mean, I don't know about every time because we have to figure out the pacing of this, but we can always, make a list. So the next 25 doors that I knock on will be dedicated to this meet. And I'm going to tell people in Wisconsin.
I'm here because of so-and-so.
Peter Crown sent me. He told me that he believes in the liberal cause of making sure we protect abortion rights and voting access and health care. So
it's like he's sponsoring your outreach there.
He's energizing me. So because I think after a decade of knowing me, there's nothing that gets me fueled up than people who are mean, unnecessarily unkind, cruel, all those things.
And like ridiculously so.
Yeah.
It's like, to me, I've always said, when you get people that react to you that way, you're obviously touching a nerve.
Right.
Which means your message is getting through.
Right. Well,
yeah.
Thank you. And so we probably should talk a little bit about the news of the weekend. But at any rate, the Petty Patty mission will continue. And what Elliott was referring to was I saw this. She slid into my DMs and she's like, "F you, Patty." And sometimes you can hear the way someone writes something. So I went to her timeline and saw that she was unable to find corned beef at her grocery store in Austin, Minnesota. So I took a picture of myself in front of my refrigerator with my corned beef, and I'm like, "Oh, that's so sad." And then I started talking about. I made a video talking about how I was going to make my corned beef, and I hope you enjoy your St. Patrick's Day.
That was a very definition of petty, which is great.
Picture of myself smiling, and I have a screenshot of her telling me to go F myself. Oh, then I also, because her timeline was public, I took a screenshot, put it on her timeline, and said, "Hey, do your friends know how you talk to strangers and the mothers of children with disabilities? Is this the kind of friends you want to be friends with?"
It's like, golly, folks, y'all won. Why aren't you happy?
Well, but I wonder. So, like this weekend of finding out that the president has ignored and violated court orders. Scott Santis messaged me today, and he said that he thinks we're done because there's no checks and balances. There's definitely no balance. We already knew that. We were pretty sure. I mean, like nothing matters. And this was the problem with not holding him accountable before. Was once you tell him he can do whatever he wants, and the Supreme Court says he's immune, then what was to stop him from doing all the things? And people are. I know some people are feeling it, and some people are feeling regret. The people who are like cheering on the pain is surreal. It's just so stupid to me. That's why I'm getting petty.
That's all they have left, though, is the thing, because they can no longer point to again, this happened in 2016. The term was economic anxiety. That's why so many people voted for Trump in 2016, or so it was said. And yet the economy did not get better under Trump. He inherited an economy from Barack Obama that was actually pretty good. And what happened afterwards? He tanked it.
Right.
Mishandled COVID and then everything, and then tanked it from there. And then now he's inheriting what was, I said this before, not a great economy, but a stable economy from Biden. It was, inflation was down. We were out of, they said we were, the economy did like a soft landing as far as, overheating and inflation and all those things. Biden kind of gave him a somewhat stable economy. And the first thing he does is, start with the tariffs and the uncertainty in the market. And he's tanking it. He's killing it. And what's the first thing he does? He says, well, it was the Biden economy. It's because we got this from Joe Biden. I'm going, wait a minute. If you were so great that you took a bad economy from Obama and you helped make it better, why couldn't you have done the same thing with a Biden economy? But so, which just goes to show It was all baloney because, again, why did people vote for him this time, or what was the party line or the excuse? Well, it was the price of groceries. It's the price of housing. It's the price of this, price of that. Cost of living's too high. All right. Cost of living's still too high right now. Nothing significant that has helped the common person has happened with this economy. And if anything, it's getting worse. And what are his supporters saying? Oh, well, we need time. Yeah. And which is why he's hammering this whole thing with immigration right now, because that's the only thing that he's getting any sort of positive feedback on. It's the only thing that he polls positively on. And so, as you said, it's the cruelty. It's just doubling down on that. And, yeah, a lot of them are happy with it. They like it.
They are. And, we were getting some of the FAFOs are out there that fart around and find out. And the leopards, are feasting. Feasting
on faces. Although I've been around leopards. They don't feast faces. Well, I mean, they do eat things. But, I mean, I've met some very nice leopards, in fact.
It's the less tasty part of a body, I would think. It's the
easiest part to eat. Because it just pulls right off. It's like when you have a chicken wing and you're like... the rest kind of like hangs on.
You really are hungry, aren't you? Elliott's thinking about that corned beef cabbage I got. Hey, Allison says, hi guys, happy St. Patrick's Day. Hi, Allison. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you as well. You mean ignoring those things like Supreme Court rulings like Biden did twice on student debt? I don't know that he ignored them. I believe that they adjusted the policy. They adjusted the policy and took a different tact.
Yeah, here's the thing. What Biden is doing, or what Biden did, what many people said he should have done at that point was the whole, you know what, I'm president, I'm just doing this, and I don't care what the courts say, which is essentially what the Trump administration is doing now. And mind you, with the way things were worded, yes, it was told, the courts say you can't do that. Did Biden go, you know what, I didn't see that. You know what, I don't know if I agree with that. You know what, I'm president. How dare the court tell me I can't do that? He respected what the court said.
Right.
And then they changed tack, and they looked at how they could do things legally and respecting the authority of the court. This current administration is just going, we don't care. I'm president. I can do. Or, you know what, we did this before you told us we could do that, and now it's too late. Or we're waiting. Or, we're going to appeal. And so, if the courts can't do it, then it's down to the Congress. And I'm sorry, I have no faith in this Congress.
Oh, don't even get me started on that. Let's take a break here. First, we want to thank our sponsors. Thank you to Source Solar. You can go to the Patti Vasquez show the show page on Heartland Signal to catch our podcast we did last week with Peter and Warren, with some great information about the procedures of getting an appointment, evaluating your home or your business for solar panels. Over 100,000 satisfied customers in the Chicagoland area, and you could be one of them. So give them a call. Visit source.solar. Also, thank you to Kirk Bankstead from Monaco Brewing Company. We'll be broadcasting live from the Madison Tap Room on March 25th. Go to MadisonBrewingCompany.com and check out the great swag they have, some shirts and hats, and of course their great brews and non-alcoholic choices like their choice. Not choice. They have I don't know if they still have choice. They have choice wine, but they also have Nope Seltzer. We have some in the fridge if you want some Nope Seltzer, Elliott. And he also has some THC. I can send you home with one, by the way, today. I don't know if you've gotten one, but it's Joint Sessions, and it's an orange soda that's quite tasty.
I think I have one of those.
It's quite tasty,
but I won't say no to another.
Also, if you sign up for the newsletter, you'll get today's column that I wrote about persistence in the face of painful policies that Elliott and I have been talking about. And of course, we want to thank our friends at Are You Really Winning? Call 1-800-GAMBLER if you or someone you know is struggling with a gambling problem, or visit areyourreallyWinning.com. We'll be talking to the folks from the way back in tomorrow on the show. And we also want to thank Kids Above All. Go to kidsabovall.org and support their mission to help children live happy, healthy, safe lives. More in a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. We're hanging out in studio with guest co-host Elliott Serrano, and I hope that dinner works out. I'll tell you about that later. More in a moment. The corned beef is in the oven, but I don't know how the timing is going to work. We'll see how it goes.
Out Chicago.
The media has been manipulated with propaganda and fear, and this is what has brought us where we are today. More than ever, people are looking at just one news source, and that's
what they're doing, they're looking at their
phones.
phone.
Well, that's their source.
They are looking
that's their
at
source.
Yeah, I know. They're looking at their phone. They're hearing opinion. They're hearing misinformation. They're not looking at sources.
Catch Out Chicago every Sunday, 11 to 1 on WCPT 820. Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or
and Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
In your communities in Chicago.
On WCPT 820.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. I have invited Elliott Serrano to join me to guest co-host today, as well as join us for dinner for corned beef and cabbage. I have to figure out how to tell Steve to do the timing. Once I walked out of the house, and I don't have the bells going off for when things go in the oven, I have no idea what to do. I think it's around 6. I'll figure it out a little bit. But
you either put it in your phone or just text him. Bing,
well, I kind of yes, as I mentioned, I'm going by something I saw from some social media creators, but I'm kind of cobbling 2 or 3 of them together, and I hope I got the proportions right. But then I've never made soda bread before, and the good news is we have a loaf of brown bread as backup in case this goes so horribly wrong.
Right.
Because I got it in my noggin last night because there's 2 things I get pleasure from. Okay, that sounded weird. I enjoy while scrolling, which are... okay, first of all, I do have to tell you, there are some creators out there who really do a service to a lot of us who appreciate the male form, and they're working out and either jump roping to some music, or there's one guy who's a bodybuilder, but he's trying to get more flexible. So he'll see women, really flexible women, do these incredibly, impossible positions, and he'll try to do it. And he's got a pit bull. I'll just show you these videos, and the pit bull keeps getting in the way of him trying to complete this.
I think I've seen it. I've seen that one.
And it's so much fun to watch.
Yes.
But at any rate, so I don't know what time it was. I should have been asleep. But this woman came on. She's like, when you feel like making soda bread at the last minute. And I was like, yes, I feel like doing that. So I was doing that. I was putting together the dough. I haven't made bread in years. To be fair, Elliot, I haven't made bread, corned beef since the boys were little. Usually we order out, but today I wanted to, do it myself. So while I was, there's only a couple of ingredients that go into soda bread, and I'm like, it's on a loop now, and I'm just kind of putting in my flour, got the salt, and then I was like, she's like, and of course baking soda because it's soda bread. I'm like, why did I just put baking powder into this? Type of baking powder instead of baking soda, which is a significant difference because there's acidity.
It reacts differently, yes.
So I went online. There's a lot. It's 50-50, Elliot, as to whether or not my trying to counterbalance the baking powder with actually baking soda, whether or not this is going to work. So
well, the chemistry, it will be bread. It might not just be the kind of bread you were looking for.
It will be bread. It'll be bread-like. As I mentioned, fortunately, we have a loaf of brown bread also. But what we don't have is butter, Steve. I don't know what to do about that. Maybe Elliot and I have to run to the store before dinner and get some butter.
Maybe you can hit the Jewel or something.
The Jewels. At any rate, so yes, we are going to have some dinner later. You know what's interesting is like people come on the. By the way, I want to remind folks, your phone numbers are on the screen. So
I know. Whenever I look at the text screen and when you call in, we can see your numbers. That's like a lot of times when I'm reading, when I would read the texts, I go from the so and so, we can tell where you're calling from.
Yeah, like literally. So at any rate, so someone's trying to be snarky on the text screen, but I don't get the pleasure people take from folks suffering. And a few weeks ago, and I was going to make a video about this, but like the editing thing and time, maybe I should just send you things, Elliott, and say, hey, can you put this together and just put this up for me? Because the day that the Doge bags and Elon Musk said that people were receiving Social Security checks that were 150 years old or 300 years old, right? I was like,
although not realizing that there was an issue with the programming.
What kind of programming? So the video I made was I ran downstairs. I was like, hey, Mommy, what did you used to do for the federal government? I was a computer programmer. What kind of programming did you do? It was COBOL. Right, COBOL. So
Lords of COBOL. That was a reference to the classic Battlestar Galactica. But go on.
But zeros and ones.
Yes.
And so I asked her. So her job literally was similar to Social Security because she worked for the Railroad Retirement Board, meaning those folks who receive their retirement checks. Right. So because they remember she also worked on Y2K because it's zeros and ones, and they had not encountered a year starting with the number 2 instead of 1.
Right.
So the Social Security, much like my mom's agency, had, because the reference point for Social Security goes all the way back to 1875, because when they started Social Security, they needed to go back and have information on that. So anyway, it's COBOL. These Doge bags don't read COBOL, and so at any rate, people are all excited. They're like, yeah, they're saving, these dead people are getting Social Security checks. In the meantime, because they made so many changes, started eliminating positions, people like Ned in Seattle had over $5,000 clawed back from his account because they deemed that he was dead, and he has spent 3 weeks trying to get. He's not gotten payments for January, February, and he had to go down. 3 weeks he's been trying to get this all sorted out, and now it'll be permanently on his record that he's dead. He has to, over and over again, he'll have to keep proving that he's alive, and it took him 3 weeks to get his money back.
Yeah. I've unfortunately I have friends who have gone through that whole, and it had nothing to do with Social Security too. It's like once you're in the system as quote unquote dead, like good luck. I mean, Jesus did it in 3 days. The fact that he did it in 3 days is what the miracle was. You know, generally with the federal government, it takes a few years.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's and again, the thing that astounds me is that people are just accepting on faith that, oh yeah, well they found all this. I'm not going, how do you know? Where's the proof? Show me. Where do we see the spreadsheets? And again, I will put this on Congress. Congress is like, if there is really that much corruption in the system, then if Congress controlling the purse has shown that it is utterly incompetent and unable to do its job, and the fact that Republicans are willing to sit back and go, oh, yeah, they're just figuring, they're looking for the corruption. I'm like, it's your corruption. If it's corruption, it's under your watch. You're the ones who are doing this. Yep. And the fact that you just sit back and let them do all the and again, the messaging, as looking through purely outside of the politics, but purely as a marketing bit, you know, as messaging goes, right now, both parties, but I'll put this on the Republican Party right now, they are doing a horrible, horrible job trying to explain to the American people why what they're doing is good. Yeah. Because if you're going to do it, and let's say just for the sake of argument, just for the sake of hypothetical, and you know, to put that out there, let's say, yeah, Doge is doing the right thing. Doge is uncovering corruption. Right. Let's say it really is happening. Okay, then there should be no problem with having Elon Musk and his crew show you spreadsheets. Okay, This is what we found. This is what we see. This is what's happening. You know, and it shouldn't be that, oh yeah, when Elon Musk stands in front of the press and stands in front of the administration, you know, all the chiefs, you know, and goes, oh well, sometimes we'll make mistakes. You know, or sometimes I might say something that's wrong. No, when you're talking about a system that's in place to serve a population of 335 million people, and that's the other thing I can't get my brain around, is how people can go, oh, well, the government's too big. You know, it has, 2-3 million employees? We have 330 million people in the country. How many people do you really think it takes to be able to keep a country of this population, this size, going? You can't downsize it. You can't have AI doing it. How many times do you get ticked off when you call the airline and you can't get a person? You just get an automated system. That's what Republicans want to do with the government right now.
Yep, full stop. That's Elliott Serrano.
I'm sorry, now I'm worked up.
I know. You know what you should do? You should come with me to our May 3rd event. You know, we're celebrating an anniversary here at WCPT, and tickets are now on sale for May 3rd, the 20th anniversary, Elliott. I have obviously been here for 20 years. They asked me for photos, and I found the first interview I did with Jonas Posito right here during my campaign, as a matter of fact. So I shared that photo with them. So that's going to be at Max and Benny's Deli and Bakery in Northbrook. Hal Sparks, Joan Esposito, Richard Chu, Scott Duff, and I will all be there broadcasting live from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. with special guests. Learn more and get your tickets by visiting heartlandsignal.com/anniversary. Tickets are $20, so hurry. They are going quickly. When we come back, we're going to get joined in the studio with some guests to talk about mental health, substance use disorders, and developmental disabilities. And we'll talk to some folks from the mental health boards of DuPage, Bloomingdale, and NAMI DuPage as well. And we've got a lot of great guests coming up in just a little bit on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. More in a moment.
Where facts matter.
The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Saturdays at 1 p.m.
Count me among the Americans that want to see change. Now, of course, the change I was looking for would have put Kamala Harris in the White House. Americans voted for change. They just, Trump, I think they got the wrong kind. Still, I'm grateful for elections, even when we lose. You know, they tell us about ourselves, and we can't ignore that and shouldn't.
The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Saturdays at 1 p.m.
Hey, Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
We appreciate all our fans of Driving It Home, and your support of show sponsor Minocqua Brewing Company ensures that our important conversations continue right here on WCPT each weekday from 5 to 7 p.m. You can now find the Resistance IPA, Labor Lager, or the Resistance Pilsner beer at several Illinois locations, including Arminetti Wine and Spirits in Woodstock, Pineapple and Company in North Riverside, Lions Beverage Depot in Arlington Heights, and MP's Liquor, Wine and Beer in North Aurora. For a full list of Chicagoland locations, please visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. As always, please vote and drink responsibly.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
In your communities in Chicago.
On WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. Guest co-host today, Elliott Serrano, joins me in studio. And Elliott, I think we've talked a lot over the years about mental health issues. It's something that I find is something we need to keep talking about, destigmatizing, whether it's on the air or personally. Elliott, we've gone through a lot of situations where we know we could all benefit. So joining me in studio, we have Mike Murray, who's the advocate for the mental health boards of DuPage, Bloomingdale, and Jerry Kerger. Am I saying your last name right? Kerger. I'm glad I should have asked before the show. I apologize, Jerry. That's Jerry? Mm-hmm. Okay, Jerry Kerger, Executive Director of NAMI DuPage, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. We'll be joined in a few moments by some guests on the phone, but first of all, thank you so much for joining us in studio. Great to have you here.
Thank you for asking us.
Yes, we're so grateful to have the chance to share.
Absolutely. And I love how festive you are. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I did the best I could. I think we are all in green. I love this. Did you get to celebrate a little bit over the weekend as well?
I gained a half pound, I'll tell you that, with my wife's corned beef. So, but
does she boil or bake? Do you know if she boils or bakes?
She bakes it, actually. And she does like the celery and all of that stuff. You know, I read your recipe. That was interesting, you know.
Yeah. So, well, let's see. How about yourself? Did you celebrate?
I'm 100% Irish, so every day St. Patrick's Day.
100% Irish? Yes. What part of Ireland is your family from?
Mostly the south and southwest. Mostly so Cork and Tipperary.
Oh, we might be related. My dad's family was from County Cork.
Yes.
I'll show you some. It's so funny because people never believe, since I'm Irish and Mexican, they don't see it, and then I'll pull out a picture of my dad. I was at a bar with a bunch of Irish expats, and they're like, he's Irish.
Yes.
Yeah. So at any rate, and to that, actually, we've been talking a little bit about addictions on the show with other collaborators, and my father battled with addiction, and whether it was stimulants like alcohol or cigarettes, and then when he gave up alcohol, he became a gambler. So I've been sharing stories about that, and he didn't like saying something was wrong, and I think we probably run into that with is that getting any better, Jerry?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say since COVID, a lot of people have, during COVID, you had Michelle Obama came out and said she was slightly depressed, and Meghan Markle said she was depressed, and Simone Biles came out and said, things with mental health. So I think the more celebrities that acknowledge it, the more people, but people see the celebrities and feel as though they know them. So a lot of the problems with mental illness with stigma have been that people didn't know how common it is. It's 1 out of 5 people. So it's, if you have 10 people together, you probably have 2 that have a mental illness. And so people feel if they reduce the stigma, they feel comfortable to talk about it.
I've been thinking about, Mike, is that we have all these recommendations for, like for getting our teeth checked every 6 months. I would encourage folks, if they have the ability, to, when you make that dental appointment, also make your mental appointment, right? So that you're doing every 6, I think we should all be going once a year, twice a year for a checkup.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because a lot of time prevention and those kind of things are not covered by our insurance. And that's one of the things that our Community Mental Health Board funds. It funds at their small grants, but if Shannon is on, or Teresa and Jerry can tell you what, even though it's only a little bit of money, it can do a lot of things.
Well, one of the biggest things is that there's an 11-year gap. The average time between onset of symptoms and treatment is 11 years.
Really?
And so during that period of time, that's when all these really bad things happen. People drop out of school, they lose their jobs, they get involved in the legal system, which, that's a really bad thing to happen to you. Can change the whole course of your life. They get addicted to drugs or alcohol. So that 11 years, a lot of things go wrong. And, that's also when a lot of people mess up their families' relationships. So if people can get in and get the help that they need, think about how important that is and how many things can happen to people in 11 years if they're untreated.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, we're working, actually, one of the things that we funded in our Bloomingdale Township Mental Health Board was a children's network. And we're not quite there yet, but our goal is to screen every kid every year from 0 to age 18.
That's great. Yeah, I think that's important. And would that be through the schools, or would that be through parents?
The schools do it. It could be. I noticed my doctor last time I went, he screened me for depression, so it is.
That's great. That's so smart. I mean, and I remember, and it does. If you have a general practitioner who you're comfortable with, and sometimes if you're going to them regularly, that's a great place to also manage some of these situations.
It is, but to keep in mind with this, especially when you're talking about kids, though, just because you're screened doesn't mean there's a problem. That doesn't, because
I think, and then maybe that's what's so hard for folks, like a screening. It's just a check-in.
Exactly. You might be okay today, and next week you might not be. And also, kids sometimes don't know if they say, "How are you feeling?" Sometimes kids can't really describe that, and other times you have kids that maybe don't tell you the truth. I've had 4 kids; half of them I trust with what they said. Answer, I don't know about the other 2. So if I asked them how you were doing. So I think that's really key.
And joining us on the phone, we have Teresa. Teresa, how do I say your last name, my friend?
It's Forthover.
Forthover. See, I'm always happy when I don't take a swing at something.
It's not how it's spelled. Well, if I can jump in real quick on talking about the screenings, I'm the CEO at Easter Seals, DuPage, and Fox Valley. We treat kids with disabilities and developmental delays, and we have a free online screening tool in both English and Spanish for social emotional wellness for very young children, really from birth to age 5. That's free and online that anybody can use and take.
And I have to say, first of all, thank you for the work that you do. I try not to live with regret, but when it comes to your kids, it's really hard to not look back and go, I wish I had. And so I have a son who has a agenesis of the corpus callosum. He has a significant it's a neurological disorder. Part of his brain is missing. And, while we focus a lot on making sure that his brother felt, attended to, that we weren't spending a lot of time on all the services and needs for Declan, I do think that it would have helped us a lot to know. I think a part of it is just you're already in a state of emergency. So I'm so glad that you guys are doing that for kids, because I really think folks will benefit from that. And I really encourage everyone, regardless of ability, to check that out. How do people find out? Do you have to live in DuPage, I'm guessing, is for the services at Easter Seals in this program?
No, we actually serve 168 communities all across the Chicago suburbs. So we have services in Villa Park, Naperville, and Elgin are where our centers are located, but we also do early intervention for kids birth through 3 years old in their homes, and community centers as well. We serve about 1,000 kids a week.
And I think, do you encourage every parent, or do you say, are there some things that maybe you're noticing? Because a lot of parents, it's their first child. They don't know, if this mood is typical or that kind of thing.
Yeah, I have 3 kids, and I have 2 with developmental disabilities, myotonic muscular dystrophy, and autism. And I encourage all families, regardless of ability, to check out both our screening tools, our social emotional screening tools, and our developmental screening tools, because I wish I would have had them when my kids were much younger. I would have probably gotten us to a diagnosis sooner and gotten us to services sooner.
Yeah, and here's the thing. So I did a show one time in Columbus, Indiana, and it's about raising both of my boys. And this girl reached out to the theater afterwards crying because she had resented her parents with all the time and resources they had put into her brother, and she didn't realize how much they did love her. That and you don't. I mean, like that was something she was carrying into her 20s. And so it's hard. And I'm glad she found that though, and is reaching out and identifying that. That's part of it, right? Is naming something. Mike, wouldn't you say that's the biggest part of the stories that we need to be sharing?
Yes, yeah. I want to say 2 other things. Mental health boards are about creating a loving community. Mm-hmm. And one of the programs that I'm really proud that we kind of helped initiate in Bloomingdale Township is, Teresa, you want to talk about how we funded your initial programs for mental health?
Here at Easter Seals, we were able to really start up a mental health department. We went from 2 part-time therapists, some mental health therapists, to now we have over 10. So we went from serving 76 children in our mental health department to nearly 1,000.
Wow.
In less than 2.5 years. And that's really in part due to we work with 12 different mental health boards because our geography is so large, and many of these children would not have had access otherwise.
Wow, amazing.
Because we're still working with kids and families specifically with disabilities, and so that's a unique mental health service not everybody can provide.
We need to take a break here, but I want to continue because I have more questions. I definitely want to talk about how these programs might be affected with what's going on nationally too. Because a lot of people are scared, and I needed them to know what resources there are, who they need to be talking to about making sure we have these programs protected. We are joined in studio by Mike Murray, advocate for the mental health boards of DuPage Bloomingdale, and Jerry Kurger, who is the executive director of NAMI DuPage. On the phone with us is Teresa Forthover. Thank you, Elliott. She said it doesn't sound like it spells, and I was just swinging at it.
It's like the 4th row over.
Oh, nice. And she is president and CEO Easter Seals DuPage and Fox Valley. We'll continue our conversation in a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. It's Elliott Serrano, guest co-hosting with me, making sure that I thank you very much. I appreciate that. You know how bad I can be sometimes.
Same.
Thank you. More after this.
Is Shannon on?
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
More
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
In your communities in Chicago.
On WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue our conversation with our friends from mental health. Well, we have Mike Murray, who is the advocate for mental health boards of DuPage, Bloomingdale, and I want to talk to him about setting up mental health boards as well. We also have with us Jerry Kurger, who's executive director of NAMI DuPage. That's a National Alliance on Mental Illness, and Teresa Forthover. Now I'm going to say her first name wrong is what's going to happen there. Hi, Teresa. Teresa, is it Teresa or Teresa? I didn't ask that part yet. Teresa, excellent. Who's the president and CEO of Easter Seals, DuPage, and Fox Valley. Jerry, also we have Elliott Serrano in studio with us, guest co-hosting today.
It's actually Serrano.
Serrano.
I said roll my eyes.
There you go. One of the things, Jerry, we want to talk about is funding, or whoever wants to talk about funding, because we mentioned earlier that there a lot of insurance companies don't cover preventative and things like that. Or I should say, who wants to talk to me about what happens with Medicaid and how we could be impacted if things are rolled back?
Well, I can talk to you a little bit about Medicaid.
Excellent.
About 1 out of 3 people with mental illness rely on Medicaid. So that is 1 out of 5 people have mental illness. So this is a huge number of people. And Medicaid pays about 25% of mental health substance use disorder costs in the United States. So if we're talking about 25% of the budget being cut, I mean, that is a tremendous difference. And I would also add is that since the pandemic, more people are coming out to get services. So we have more people than ever asking for services, and at the same time that, for many people that the funding may be declining. So it's a really perfect storm for a lot of bad things to happen if Medicaid's cut.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and I don't know how they don't cut it. That's the problem.
Well, of course, we remember when there was no budget in the state for several years under an unnamed governor.
Governor Rauner. Because I have no problem with that because it harmed families and continues to have a negative impact on the progress in Illinois.
A lot of expenses, the total cost of medical treatment went up because investing in this, as both Teresa and Jerry will acknowledge, it lowers the cost. We have a lot of statistical estimates that say for every dollar you spend on these kind of things, you save money. So
when you invest in lives, when you invest in people, you save lives.
Absolutely.
There's just no getting around that.
Particularly when you're talking about mental health and substance use, because we all know someone that's lost their lives to probably both of those, and probably many people.
I want to ask Teresa, to the point that Mike made about what happened under a budget impasse and how quickly we can be impacted. Because I would say that we lost so many people in different fields. Are you still finding that it's hard because therapists left the field because they weren't getting paid? There's just a big, and then with early intervention, a lot of times the billing is so onerous on them to get things done. How are we doing with making sure that families have access to so many important services?
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that 708 boards and other funding sources help with us. We raise about 30% of our budget annually through fundraising because we lose money on every single service we provide. We're pretty fortunate here at Easter Seals that our therapist tenure is about 12 years, which is highly unusual. But we work real hard to train and educate and support our staff so that they do stay. But the Medicare and Medicaid cuts that are coming are terrifying because not only do families of children with disabilities rely on it for health care, but it's also respite care for their families. It's also home-based services for their kids. It's also housing for their adult children. It impacts every single aspect of a child's life and the family's life when Medicaid is impacted for kids with disabilities.
And to that, can you talk to folks about making sure that if they are in need, that they make sure they're on the PUNS list, the prioritization of urgent needs and services, right?
Absolutely. And I had this question posed to me the other day, well, how soon should I get my child on the list? And I said, today.
Yep.
They're never too young to get on the list. As the child ages, if you decide that you don't need long-term support, you can always remove yourself from the list. The other really important thing to know is once you're on the list, you have to re-list every year. Because otherwise you'll be likely to be dropped from the list. So it's very important that you get on the list and annually you call and make sure you're still on the list.
It's so scary. They make it so much harder. I've never understood this. Why it's so exponentially hard for people who are already going through a crisis.
They can always call us if they have questions about puns. We have resources available that can help walk them through the process because, as you said, it's very cumbersome and very difficult, but extremely important.
And how do they contact you with those questions?
Probably the best way, although it's a difficult email, it's a difficult website, it's Easter Seals DFVR, as in DuPage, Fox Valley region. So it's EasterSealsDFVR.org. And they can get all kinds of information on there as well as ways to access us depending on what they're looking for.
Now, I know that in a lot of municipalities throughout the state of Illinois, and of course across the country, there are special elections. They're not special, but there are spring elections. There's April 1st. Mike, what do we got going on the referendum on the April 1st election?
We got one in TAP in the Palatine Township.
Okay.
We're hopeful about that. It's these are all generated by community groups, pretty much. So it's citizens in action. This is one of the few things that we can say as a community we want to do that, and we've had kind of a renaissance since 2017. We've had 15 boards created, which are going to add, when they all get going, and add right now, about $20 million to $25 million a year in additional funding for groups like Easter Seals and NAMI DuPage. And while the grants are small, every little bit helps.
Absolutely.
And each one was formed uniquely. They're all a little bit different. And Jerry and Teresa, of course, have been a part of all of the ones in DuPage and answered the call many times.
And Jerry, for folks who maybe aren't familiar with NAMI, with the National Alliance on Mental Illness, what would you like to tell them about reaching out and finding out more information?
Well, first of all, NAMI is the largest grassroots mental health organization in the United States, and we are one of about 600 affiliates. And all affiliates, they may offer some core programs, but they're all different. And so we are one of the larger ones. We serve over 20,000 people every year, and almost everything we do is free. And so this is why the 708 boards are so important to us, because we don't have any large federal or state grants. So we rely on regular grants, corporate sponsorships, fundraising events. That's where we get our money. So everything, the 708 boards are fantastic because those are more stable sources because it's an ongoing tax. And it's really a great source because we go into that community and provide services to people right there in most cases. So it's a wonderful way for us. Now, to reach out for our services, which are free, and the thing really that is unique about NAMI is that we provide services not only for the individual, but also for their families. And that is a crucial part, because if you want people to get into the journey to recovery, they really need support from other people. And families, people that have family support oftentimes get into recovery faster and have sustained recovery. So that is just absolutely important. So, and the other thing that is different about us is that our services are provided by, we call them peers or peer support specialists. They're people with lived experience of mental illness. So they're either an individual with a diagnosis or a family member, and they've all had special training. So this is not like somebody saying, I have a mental illness, I can help you. They've all had special training for this. And you would be surprised at the number of people when we go into the classrooms in schools who students will come up to, not to the teacher or the social worker, but they come up to our person to say that they have a plan to end their life or they're in real trouble. because that lived experience makes the difference.
It really does. Before I let you all go, I have Paul in Chicago has a question for us. Paul, what's on your mind?
Hi. I have a textbook on Introduction to Psychology by it's about over 700 pages long, but it defines a narcissistic personality disorder.
I see.
And I want to know if that can be considered a mental illness. I know Tom Hartman always calls Mr. Trump. Describes him as having a narcissistic personality disorder. So could he be considered mentally ill?
Well, we're not going to do. Well, Paul, I've got to run, but I appreciate where you're coming from. But yeah, I mean, narcissism is a mental illness. So
it is.
Thank you for that. Before we go, I want to make sure Teresa's got the opportunity to let folks know where they can reach out to Easter Seals. What would you like folks to know on how they can contact you for services and help?
Sure. They can go online at Easter Seals. DFVR.com, or they can call us anytime at 630-620-4433, and we'll be happy to help them in any way or find a resource to guide them if we're not able to help them ourselves.
Outstanding. Thank you all. And Mike, advocate for 708.org?
Yes.
That's the best place to reach out?
That's a place, if your community doesn't have a mental health board, and there's we're hoping to get more in the area, reach out. We look for people that grit their teeth and say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this happen for my neighbors.
Excellent. So thank you so much all for joining us, and we look forward to having you back. Please have a wonderful rest of your St. Patrick's Day, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much. And Elliott Serrano, thank you so much for hanging out for the next hour as well, because we have more mental. We're doing a positivity segment we do every Monday, so we'll have Jen Zanotti on the next hour.
And God bless you and thank you.
Thank you all so much. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you. Let's take a break here with the news, and I got to tell my husband to put the cabbage on the corned beef. More after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we drive it home. Hello to our friends listening on KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Joining me in studio is guest co-host Elliott Serrano, who's joining me for our St. Patrick's Day celebration at home. I'm bringing him home for dinner.
Yes.
Not to eat you for dinner.
I know.
Yeah.
But hey, shout out to our friends in Minnesota.
Yes. And, by the way, we also want to thank our sponsors, Source Solar. Go to source.solar for more information about the great work they do. Find out if the time is right for you to get solar panels on your house or your business. Over 100,000 happy customers in the Chicagoland area. And we also want to thank our friends from Are You Really Winning? March is Problem Gambling Awareness Month, and we're proud to welcome our new sponsor to Driving It Home, Are You Really Winning? If you or someone you love is struggling with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit areyoureallywinning.com today. On March 25th, we will be broadcasting from the tap room. You want to come, Elliott, to the tap room in Mount? You can meet me there. Ooh, you can be my ride home. Ooh, hi. I just made you both my driver and my friend to come and hang out with me.
There we go.
But we're going to be broadcasting from the Madison Tap Room. Go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com to find out about. They're basically they're doing training for resistance at the Madison Tap Room. So sign up for the newsletter. You can check out the latest piece that I just did. If you sign up for that newsletter, it's persistence in the face of painful policies is the best I can do. And our friends at Kids Above All, go to kidsaboveall.org and support their mission to help children live happy, healthy, safe lives. We're going to have Jen Zanotti in just a moment. I know Jim's been on hold for most of the show. Jim, thanks for hanging in there. Jim, how are you doing?
Hi. It's St. Patrick's Day, and I can't understand how an individual and his acolytes can violate the conscience of free-thinking Americans. It's absolutely incredible to me. And when I think of the Irish, the Gaelic-speaking Irish, they could never come to grips with being subjugated. They couldn't understand why they wanted to take their religion, their language, take their land. Because that's not their nature. It's not their nature to do that.
I know, Jim.
But No, but I'm serious. I'm dead serious. They would, and remember the 60s, Patty. The civil rights demonstrations brought about civil rights and voting rights, and it had nothing to do with politicians or anybody else. It was a groundswell. And it happened in Ireland, in Northern Ireland. The Irish in Northern Ireland said, "The heck with this. You don't like our religion. We're second-class citizens here. We can't practice our Catholicism. We can't get jobs, similar to the American Negro." And they're like, "We're not going to take it either. So put that in your pipe and smoke it." And the same would happen here. And the only way we're going to confront this, we've got to get these people in the streets, and I want to see them in their flesh. Who are these supporters of this violator of our conscience? Who are these supporters? I'm serious. I want to see a 60s demonstration that will not quit. And that's what I'm advocating for. I don't care if I live another 5 minutes. I am going to, I got enough. I mean, I want to see them in the street. I want to see the Proud Boys. I want to see these people in the street. I want to confront them in the street. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I mean that.
I believe you, Jim.
I don't care what they bring with them. I don't care if they bring whatever they bring with them, fine with me. But I'm ready to confront them in the streets because this can't go on. We can't have a person who is violating every American right that we fought our behinds off for. He's stopping Radio Free Europe. He's stopping any kind of taking over the Kennedy Center. What's he going to put on there? Musk going to put on a Hitler Springtime for Hitler production or what? Is that what they're going to do? But wait, who's going to put up with this, Patty? I can't put up with another minute.
I understand. I understand that, but here's the thing. I think the strategy seems to be for the leadership of the Democratic Party is wait until the Republican people showing up at these town hall meetings.
Patty,
I understand.
I know there is no strategy.
I understand,
but there is no strategy. Patty, is there a strategy for an insane takeover of the United States? Who could ever dream of this?
All I'm saying is that the Democrats seem flat-footed right now, and I'm with you.
Yeah, but
I am
that's
outraged.
Right. They're not flat-footed. Remember, in 2020, 81 million Democrats voted for Biden, right? That was a record in the United States. They didn't go to wait. They didn't go to sleep. Whatever happened in this election, God only knows. But the point is, they're still out there. And I'm not going to stand for. I can't stand for this another minute. Not another minute. I can't wait for it. I was in every demonstration in the 60s, and God is my witness, in Washington, D.C. with 380,000 people. I was in Chicago for civil rights, war on poverty. I've been to all these demonstrations.
There it is.
Did you catch it?
I caught it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. Well, there you go. Jim's a little fired up. Jen heard it. Hold on a second. I think I need to do this. Let's just do a little bit of... Hold on. I think. Sorry, Jim. Jim got too fired up.
Jim. I mean, again, I'm going to make this reference. There is a conservative station that I am often on, and there's a guy who calls in named James, who is like the bizarro Jim. He everything that Jim stands for. James is the opposite. And all I know is that. Yes, when Jim gets fired up, he nourishes my soul to know that there's someone with that kind of passion.
Yes.
And also kind of sounds like Leo McGarry from The West Wing.
He does. And my dad, he sounds a lot
like your dad, too. So, Jim, sorry we had to kind of cut you there because you kind of got out of hand, but we're with you, buddy.
Jen Zanotti joined us. Jen, I swear, I thought that because Jim had been on hold for over an hour, and I thought I'll just sneak Jim in before I get Jen on, and then I mean Jim found his own exit by cussing on the air because I could have rolled him down, but I was like I felt like but I also feel like here let's do this. Jen Zanotti, our positivity expert.
I think that's a perfect segue. That was great,
right? Well, but I'm
very passionate.
Well, exactly. Well, that's what I was going to say. Is that he's venting, and it's better to vent than to be stewing in it all the time, right? And know that he's got
1,000%.
He's got like-minded folks who are as angry. I'm not that. I have my spurts of rage, but Jen, how are you doing? I mean, I'm sorry, Jen, are you hydrating?
I actually have a Spindrift in my hand right now. I am hydrating. Raspberry lime.
Excellent.
That's my flavor.
Excellent. I just finished. There's these packets. They're LMNT, Element Hasi.
Yes.
And
they're so good.
They're very good. We need to talk about it off the air, though, because they apparently also have another, there's another element, another ingredient that they weren't, maltodextrin, whatever it's called, like the artificial sweeteners.
Maltodextrin. Yeah.
Maltodextrin, and they hadn't been listing that on their things. So I was going to reach out to them because guess what their slogan is, Elliott? Because they're salty. They say "stay salty," which I thought would be a perfect.
That's good.
It is. They've got the extra salt in there. It's fun. They have very interesting flavors. There's a chocolate.
Yes.
I don't know if you ever had that.
I have.
Yes, it's interesting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my least favorite. My favorite is the citrus because it tastes like a lime. It tastes like a little margarita when I'm working out. I like that. Yeah. To the rage, and I don't know if you're following me on Facebook, but I've started down this petty path of Patti, of just kind of poking people. Clearly, people like me and Jim need some outlets to our frustrations. And folks, that come to your gym. Jen is a jiu-jitsu expert and instructor. I guess that's where I would like to go. Are you finding that more people are having to work out their frustrations in your gym? Are you sensing that sort of like that energy coming in to their training?
Oh, yeah. Yes. For sure. And actually today when I was doing laundry, my husband, Jay, told me about your petty Patti. He was telling me that he was following that. And then he was like, Patti followed my Substack today. And it was super funny. So we were talking about that. But absolutely, there's a lot of people coming in. It's kind of that strange thing as, you're like, how are you doing? How are you doing today? And everybody's kind of got this underlying, tone of kind of like, like good, but, given everything that's going on, right? And especially out here, in D.C., it's a lot of people are kind of going day by day with their jobs. So there's a lot of people coming in to train, to try and get their mind off things for stress relief. You can definitely sense that energy, and we're just trying to be as supportive as we can and, just get some really, really good training in and help be there to listen and talk to people and check in with people that we know might be going through a rough time.
Yeah, I think that's for me, helping other folks and doing something that feels like putting my energy somewhere towards a goal or helping somebody. That's why I go door knocking. It's because it's something I'm good at, and it's something that I know is, having conversations with people one-on-one, right? And so tell us a little bit about like focusing those energies in a more positive arenas. Is Jim, perhaps, maybe there's something for Jim. Maybe it's, I don't know what it is, because he wants to do more action now. But I think pacing ourselves is key, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and we've talked about this so many times, but I think movement is so helpful with stress relief. So if you can kind of channel that energy that you're feeling that is pent up, and communication, like, Jim needed to vent, which is good, because if we keep that in, obviously, then, who knows what can happen. But I think channeling that energy and those emotions through movement is very healthy. So, it could be through martial arts, through striking, through kickboxing, through Muay Thai, regular boxing, jiu-jitsu, through going for a run, going for a walk, getting a personal trainer and lifting weights, something that you feel like you can control, but you can channel that energy and really have that outlet. It's just so healthy, and you feel so much better afterwards. And depending on what kind of movement you're doing, it's very hard to think about the things that you're dealing with during the day. In jiu-jitsu, for example, you could get choked out. You could get your arm broken, so you're, fighting a training partner essentially, but in a controlled environment, but still you're able to, like, you can't think about things. You're able to be present.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's really, really helpful, that once you kind of step off the mat, you're like, you come back to kind of your life and what's going on, and you're like, wow, I just survived that. I feel like I can kind of survive anything that's coming at me. So it gives you a little bit of that empowerment.
That's how I feel when I go hiking in the forest preserves, Elliot. I don't always stay on the path, so I'll just go into the woods and then find myself sort of trapped in areas with just not a good way out. And when I make it out of but you can't do anything but how do I not die here? But I mean,
all right. I don't know if I do that.
There's nothing more exhilarating than I didn't die in the middle of the Cook County Forest Preserves. I mean, I'm sure there's more exhilarating.
And you found your way out, right?
Yeah.
You're like, yes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I get that.
Yeah, well, and it's mostly I didn't fall into the north branch of the river because there's parts of that slope down that I don't come home covered completely in mud. But so I mean, I went into a jiu-jitsu studio, Elliot. I was thinking about taking it, but it was all filled with people who look like the ones that I wanted to fight with.
Oh, jeez. What? I think that's what Jim needs. He needs to go into a jiu-jitsu studio with a bunch of proud boys, and then he can just kick the crap out of them.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. It was a room full of white proud boys, and I was like, "No, this is." And they're all in their, they some of them sure have a grudge against an ex, and I'm not going to be.
Yeah, really.
With those guys.
Yeah, we gotta get you on the mats as we keep saying when I'm home. I will be home this weekend. I don't know what your Saturday morning looks like. If you want to come meet me at the train.
Declan has stretch therapy. Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, but no, we'll be home often, and a lot of things are brewing right now that I can't talk about yet. But
I forgot already.
Some excitement. Yep.
Well, I can't wait for you to share that news with us. We've been talking to Jen Zanotti, allthingsgenz.com. And for folks who do want, when the studio that you work out at when you're in Chicago or in the Chicagoland area, where can folks find out about classes there? Because I know that you're very proud of that, of Serafin, right?
Yes, my coach is Jen, Serafin Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's 1801 Central Street in Evanston, so definitely check it out. It's an amazing new facility. So I'm there often when I'm home training, and people can always get my online services for fitness and nutrition. And if you're in the Tacoma Park, Maryland area, you can come train with us at our gym out here.
Excellent. And you're working on you have a Substack as well as your husband. If you want to tell us about both of those, we'd love to subscribe.
So definitely subscribe to my husband's. You can go to J Ferrari, Jay and Ferrari, just like the car. My Substack is Gen Z, JENZ. Mine is not as up to date and active as my husband, so go follow his. I have too many things going on, so you can look at my technique videos on YouTube. That's the better thing to look at, All Things Gen Z on YouTube.
I always like seeing your techniques in jiu-jitsu as well. And folks, you will appreciate Jay's piece. We'll talk to him in the next few weeks as instructors in Washington, D.C. They're a small business that are witnessing what's going on with the decisions being made at the federal level. So that's Jay Ferrari. Go check out his Substack. And I appreciate your time, my friend. I adore you.
I love you so much. Mwah.
Thank you, Jen.
See you soon.
I'll see you soon. Safe travels. I'll try to see if I can connect with you on Saturday.
Awesome.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Dave from Hoffman Estates, you have 7 minutes to call back. Actually, you can call anytime. If he hung up.
He'd been waiting for a bit, yeah.
I was trying. Well, if Jim hadn't yelled so long and hard, although I can't argue with Jim. I mean,
no, you can't argue. And again, Jim, we love you. You just kind of crossed the little line there. Mind you can always call back, but just try to keep that. Yeah. The FCC kind of doesn't let you use certain words on the air. If we were just streaming online, it would be one thing, but no, this is
no matter how badly we want to say them.
Yeah, really.
Let's take a break here. We'll take your call, 773-763-9278.
Or text.
Or text. The same. Oh, I'll see if I can get you that. 773-763-9278. You can give us a text or a call. And we will be right back after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul.
WCPT 820, because facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or
and Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
In your communities in Chicago.
On WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. I'm your host, Patti Vasquez, joined in studio by guest co-host Elliott Serrano as we broadcast here on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota, listening to us in the evenings. And you've heard the voice of our guest and sponsor of the station, Dr. Jason Bussell from Chicago Community Acupuncture, Chikumaku. Thank you so much for joining us, Doc, for a little bit. We're having kind of a mental health Monday, sort of a take care of yourself Monday. So
okay,
it fits in really well.
We need it. Oh my gosh, my practice has kind of turned into a therapy practice here. Everybody that comes in is just distraught and anxious, and I'm doing a lot of trying to calm down and commiserating and strategizing. Yeah. And I heard you earlier on the show talking about frustration with what the Dems are doing or not doing about this, and I think many of us are looking for some guidance what to do.
I think that Governor Walz is gearing up for something because, he's going to be holding town halls in the places where the Republicans are not.
Okay.
So I mean it's something, but I was hoping that somebody in D.C. But maybe it's better that it doesn't come from D.C. They've all been. Look, I'm gonna start yelling. Oh, did I take another break? Oh, yeah, I got you in here. I promised my listeners I would take their calls. But, we'll talk about this some more in a minute. So that's Dr. Jason Bussell. Jim is calling from Hammond, Indiana. Hey, Jim, what's on your mind, my friend?
It's John. Patty, how you doing?
Hey, John, I'm all right. What's on your mind, my friend?
I just wanted to respond to Jim, Jim, Jim lived through Nixon twice, he lived through Reagan. He lived through Ford before that, and then Reagan twice, and then Bush Sr., and then Bush Jr., and then Trump won. Now we've got this debacle going on with Trump too, I've never seen anything like it. He's destroying everything. People are running for the hills, it's terrible. But the point is, we got through those other times. We're going to get through this. The key is to look out into the distance. What are we aiming for? And to me, the only guy that's got the answer to that question is, and I am a staunch Bernie Sanders supporter. I just checked his age. He's 83 years old. He's going to be 84 in September. I know he's maybe a little bit too old to run for president. I don't know. I think I've heard him lately. He sounds sharp as a tack. So, but the thing about Bernie, he talks about the issues that really matter. For example, Medicare for all, a living wage, raising the minimum wage, talking about working class issues. Yes, he wants to deal with inflation. He was staunchly opposed to sending weapons, which are going to be used to kill people, and he was opposed to that. So. To me, we got to, in my opinion, we got to get issues oriented, and I think Bernie Sanders controls that, or really leads the pack on that. And maybe we could find a protege for Bernie,
Well, I think get some nods in the studio about a protege, and I don't know how he is at taking someone under his wing. I know he is making the rounds, the rallies with. He'll be appearing with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in the weeks to come. I don't know if she's the one for taking the reins right now. I think we need somebody in between, somebody around what's with Gen X? And then we got we've got Bernie in his late 70s, early 80s, AOC barely in her 30s. Where are we? Where's Gen X?
Overlooked.
Not just overlooked, but not stepping up. We're kind of, in leadership. I'm talking about, right? I think Governor Walz might be the closest I have. I think Governor Walz is.
Hate to say it, but that might be the root of the problem. Maybe those. I'm not going to pick it. I don't know who are the ones that didn't show up this election.
Well, Gen X voted for Trump. We voted more for Trump than I believe any other age group.
There you go. So that, and the thing about it is, you look at what's happening in the scientific community. They're getting rid of. America is looked at the world over as the leader in science and technology, and we are going to be looked at as a third world, wannabe country, like like over past due country. Like England was a great country. That empire came and went, and then. Same with France was a great country at one point, came and went. Same with Spain, And now is it America? We're looking back at America. Well, we had our heyday. If you don't have a strong educational system, strong academia, you're never going to be a leader in the world. And this guy's dismantling that.
Yep.
Taking funding away from National Science Foundation, NOAA, all those things that we care about. And all I could say is, when a big Cat 5 hurricane comes barreling down on Mar-a-Lago, then this joker's going to wake up and say, well, maybe there is something that's called global warming. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so remember, Marjorie Taylor Greene said the Democrats were controlling the weather. There were literally Republicans, there were MAGA that believed in Florida, North Carolina, that Democrats were sending these storms to them so that they couldn't vote. So.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I just have a nice Thanksgiving.
It is Thanksgiving.
Well,
it's Irish Thanksgiving, I guess.
Yes, it is an Irish Thanksgiving, and please thank you for what you do, Patty. And you've got a good, positive attitude. I love your attitude. No matter what. I know you get frustrated once in a while, but it is St. Patty's Day. Enjoy yourself, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Cilantro, my friend. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Let's take a break here. We're in studio with Dr. Jason Bussell, the founder, the chief,
founder,
the CEO,
director
of Chicago Community Acupuncture, chicomacu.com. Do you have a phone number you want to share for folks who might be more comfortable calling?
Sure, 773-853-0920.
And we have Elliott Serrano, our Chief Geek Officer.
I'm going to get on a table here so you can do some work on me. Would that be okay? Just, lie down.
Mm-hmm. I think you should give it a shot. I think you should, not here. We would.
No.
It doesn't translate well with radio.
No. It's
more of a spectacle. It needs to be visual.
Well, we have cameras.
We have the live stream going, for sure.
Yeah. Go to Facebook Live, everybody.
Let's take a quick break here. I know we've got another phone call on hold. We're in studio having these conversations. 773-763-9278. Especially if you have any questions for Dr. Jason Bussell about acupuncture and the services they provide. We'll continue in a moment after this.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Hi, this is Patti Vasquez. We appreciate all our fans of Driving It Home, and your support of show sponsor Minocqua Brewing Company ensures that our important conversations continue right here on WCPT each weekday from 5 to 7 p.m. You can now find the Resistance IPA, Labor Lager, or the Resistance Pilsner beer at several Illinois locations, including Arminetti Wine and Spirits in Woodstock, Pineapple and Company in North Riverside, Lions Beverage Depot in Arlington Heights, and MP's Liquor, Wine, and Beer in North Aurora. For a full list of Chicagoland locations, please visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. As always, please vote and drink responsibly.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
In your communities, in Chicago.
On WCPT 820.
I also want to remind folks that tomorrow we're going to have Anita from The Way Back In. The March is Problem Gambling Awareness Month, and we're proud to welcome Driving It Home to the Driving It Home family. Are you really winning? Betting, gaming, wagering, no matter what you call it, gambling can take so many forms. And for some people, gambling can lead to financial problems, relationship problems, depression, and anxiety. But you don't have to feel out of control. Problem gambling can be managed and treated, and they are here to help you because you are not alone. Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit areyourreallywinning.com. And I've been telling some personal stories about my dad's struggle with gambling addiction. And it is a mental health crisis. And my dad was of a generation where you didn't tell people that you were depressed or anxious. And Dr. Jason Bussell from Chicago Community Acupuncture joins us in studio, as well as Elliott Serrano, who's guest co-hosting with us today. We were talking about how your office, where you provide acupuncture services is becoming part therapy, and acupuncture can help with anxiety and depression and things like that, right?
Anxiety, depression, physical pain, but also addictions. A lot of the detox therapists now are recommending acupuncture for drug rehab because it helps reduce cravings. And these different addictions, gambling addiction, alcoholism, smoking, some of them stem from the same root, which is just trying to medicate yourself, trying to get yourself from feeling how you would feel without that other stimulus.
Yeah.
And so acupuncture can help calm the spirit so you don't have that drive to escape as much.
That occurred to me in the last months of my father's life. I was actually with him because he smoked 4 packs of Camels a day in addition to everything else. And I really think there's some people who, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's I think it's different for each person. Right. Mm-hmm. And for some people, it's trauma, at some point in your life, PTSD. Some people chemically don't produce those chemicals that make you feel joy and happiness. And so to your point, we're medicating in order to get to some baseline until you don't know where that is anymore. Mm-hmm. Right. So I wish I don't like to live with regret. That's why I collaborate with groups like the Way Back In. I want to get to our phone call. Oh, our phone calls. I was going to get to Tom. Was it Tom from Crystal Lake? All right, fine. Okay. I was trying to make everything seem like it was all going to come back together and then go to the phone calls, and I did. And then people started hanging up. Away. I know. Well, people get exhausted from listening to me while they're on hold. I mean, I can see being exhausted.
I did want to talk about something though here.
Yes.
We were talking about what to do, and Jim, our caller from the last half hour, was talking about being in the 60s, and we'd like to see protests like this. But I am concerned that if we were to see something like Kent State again, that Trump would use that to declare martial law.
Yes.
So I think rather than big protests, which could turn violent, there could be some paid agitators in there, some Asian provocateurs, just to target the Republicans, to just protest the town halls, to protest their offices, to protest any other meetings that they have, the RNC, and just have it very targeted towards them, make them feel the pressure, because I think they're the only ones that can help.
That's what I was trying to get at. But that was where Jim started yelling again when I said, one of the things that people are frustrated with Schumer, and Joan expressed this earlier, is I get what you're saying. Right, that if we have a government shutdown, then they were going to have we could run ramshot over democracy even quicker. Right, having because there would be no checks and balances because there's no budget. They can do what they want at that point. We need to know that. That need to be communicated with the American, whatever way. We've talked about having a shadow government where you have basically every time they do something, you have a press conference, and whether it's Pete Buttigieg or AOC or all the Jasmine Crockett, Sanders, whatever. But one of the things that Lincoln worked towards when he was every step of the way was making the argument for why this needs to happen, why we must make sure that slavery doesn't. Before he became president, why slavery should not. He always was making the argument. He was always convincing people. As a lawyer, I guess that was a big part of what he did. They are not convincing Americans, even in their own party, that's happening. And to your point about Republicans, I feel the same way. That it's going to come to them, because Democrats, we don't have leadership right now. We don't have somebody who's paving the way for us, making us see what the goal is, how we get there. But I do think in some ways it's going to be Republicans waking up and going, and I don't care what it is that gets you there, but they're going to be suffering, and I don't know if that's going to be enough. I don't want it to be too late. Like, how long do you play dead? Right? That's what James Carville says. Is Democrats should play dead. Do you play dead until you are dead? Like, what are we doing? Oh God, now I'm getting mad like Jim.
So what should we do?
I think that we need to target all the Republicans, all of their district offices, every time they can be approached, every time that they could have rallies outside of their offices, even when they're not there, and invite the press and just demand that they take action. I think that I'm afraid that the only thing that can stop this runaway train is impeachment. And the only way we can get that is with them, because
they have no will to do that.
They're not going to do that. We'd have to. For that, you have to flip the House and the Senate, and in the midterms. That's again, everyone's like, well, there aren't going to be elections by then. We'll see.
I think that he is flipping, though, a lot of his districts against him.
Yeah.
And so these representatives and senators are going to need to get reelected. They're going to be, we can make them feel the pressure more because Trump's immune to the pressure. He thinks he's going to be there for life. But if we can get, I don't think we can wait until the midterms. I think he is pissing off so many of the people in this country. I think he's made some great missteps here by pissing off veterans, by pissing off everybody on Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. That's not just blue people that didn't vote for him. And he doesn't care about the votes, but the representatives might. I'm afraid that might be our only hope here because he's not listening to the courts.
No.
And there's nothing the Democrats can do unless we can get a handful or more on our side to vote to stop this.
And I don't see anybody wavering because, again, Schumer and the Democrats that rolled over, if that was, one, convince us, but two, also fight for something, right? Like not even any sort of a trade. Usually there's a negotiation, and Schumer didn't even negotiate. I mean, come on. The terms of our surrender, come on, man. Wow.
Yeah, that really took the fire away from us rather than lighting it under us.
Yeah, exactly. Steve is calling from Homewood. Hey, Steve, how are you doing tonight? What's on your mind?
I'm doing well. Great conversation. Jim's been on fire for a couple of weeks now. But my thought was a little different. Bernie Sanders, I think, is a little too old now. His time was a decade ago. But I'm liking our own governor. I think Pritzker is very carefully lining himself up for a 28 run. And I think it might take a billionaire who's also a Democrat and progressive to turn the tide, who can go toe-to-toe with them. And likewise, related to that, I would rather see a top governor run the ticket because there are some younger or middle-aged powerhouses in the Democratic Party that I would rather see in even bigger leadership roles, like Jamie Raskin, Jasmine Crockett, AOC. The guy from Connecticut. What's his name? Larson from Connecticut. These folks are on fire, and it's time for the Schumers and the Pelosi's to enjoy the grandkids and step aside.
I agree. You know, it's funny, as you said that he needed a protege, I Googled Bernie Sanders' protege, and someone wrote about this in 2017, that he needed one then, that this moment in history was too important. And, I mean, you know, is it a function of something that he should have been more actively involved in? I mean, I don't know. He's a little persnickety. You know, he may not see himself as somebody who needs to pass the baton along to somebody. But, like, you do need some... I kind of wish that he had, you know, been working with somebody, like his unofficial vice president for the last, you know, as though he had been, since he is the farthest left leader in the country. Like, who's your second, right? I don't even remember who his running mate.
Absolutely.
Did he ever talk about who his running mate would be?
No.
See, just saying.
A lot. Even our own Senator Durbin, who served admirably for decades. It's time to step down and groom leadership to replace you. You know, they've lost a lot. Some of them have lost the fire. They just don't have that energy anymore that this new generation has.
A sense of urgency. I need somebody with a friggin' sense of urgency, which is why, to your point about Durbin, I will die angry that he forced Al Franken out. That's all. I mean, like, that was, it was so short-sighted. Because, that was somebody who was in there with a fire in their belly and holding people accountable. So, anyway.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much, and to your contributor in the car with you as well. Thank you both.
Amy, that's it. That's Amy.
Hey,
She's
Amy.
her 2 cents in.
Thank you.
Hi,
good to hear from you,
Thanks,
Amy.
Daddy.
Have a great night.
I listen to you every night on our commute.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks. I'm glad we keep you company. And stay safe. Thank you. Let's. That was lovely. Let's take a break here. We'll come back. In studio, we have Dr. Jason Bussell, the director of Chicago Community Acupuncture. Go to chigumaku.com.
Chico.
I knew I was going to get it wrong.
Maku.
I caught myself. Chico Maku. It does sound like an exotic place to go, like mountain climbing, Chico Maku. And Elliott Serrano joins us in studio. He's our Chief Geek Officer. Follow him on social media. King of Geeks on TikTok, Instagram, right? Am I missing anything?
I changed it, actually. Again, sorry, not your fault. It's just Elliott Serrano now, just so you know.
All right.
Make it across the board.
All right.
Find me anywhere.
I think I'm finally ready to put my first chapter of Chicago Girl up on Substack tomorrow. I've been saying I was going to do it for the last 3 weeks, and then like Tuesday comes around, I'm like, I have too much work to do. The world's on fire, people.
Well, Substack's another good way for people to reach people. That's what it's all about.
All right, let's take a break here. We'll be back in a moment on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal, and KTNF AM 950, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Patti Vasquez. We appreciate all our fans of Driving It Home, and your support of show sponsor Minocqua Brewing Company ensures that our important conversations continue right here on WCPT each weekday from 5 to 7 p.m. You can now find the Resistance IPA, Labor Lager, or the Resistance Pilsner beer at several Illinois locations, including Arminetti Wine and Spirits in Woodstock, Pineapple and Company in North Riverside, Lions Beverage Depot in Arlington Heights, and MP's Liquor, Wine, and Beer in North Aurora. For a full list of Chicagoland locations, please visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. As always, please vote and drink responsibly.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue our conversation and Driving It Home. I'm your host, Patti Vasquez, joined in the studio by guest co-host Elliott Serrano. You can follow him at Elliott Serrano on all the social media platforms. We also have the director of Chicago Community Acupuncture, ChicoMaku.com, and you can make an appointment. Are you open 7 days a week again?
Yeah, we're still 7 days a week.
All right.
I'm very happy to do that. We are the cheapest in town. We created this place so that we can make acupuncture affordable to the masses, and I'm very proud that we've got 4 other private providers working with me that share this goal to make it accessible. And being 7 days a week helps with that mission. So if there's anything we can help you with, go to Chi-Com Acu, as I call it. My kids call it Chico Maku, and that one is
to me, Chico Maku is easier to remember. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I wrote it out. I got the URL, and I showed it to my wife, and she's like, that says Chico Maku. I'm like, I hadn't read it like that, but so Chico Maku, go to ChicoMaku.com, read about us. We've got, everybody's been trained in the States and in Asia. We're some of the best trained around. We're the cheapest around, and you can get very good care there for whatever's going wrong with you.
And you guys do a great job of also educating folks on their overall well-being. You provide information about diet and health, which I think is fantastic.
Oh, yeah, my book, The Asian Diet. The folks on our affiliate station in Minneapolis won't be able to come in for acupuncture, but they can check out my book, The Asian Diet. Go to theasiandiet.com and read about the Asian wisdom for improving your diet, lifestyle, and attitudes to prevent disease and promote wellness.
Excellent. Tom, Tom from Crystal Lake, I swear I was trying to get to you. So, Steve, I had him in the queue. It's so funny. But Steve, that means you're up. Hi, Steve in Chicago. I did not have a chance to give Lady B a hug. I believe you asked me to give her a hug for her birthday the other day. Yes?
That's right. I just gave her one when she with me through.
All right. Big hugs, Lady B. How you doing, Steve? You're on with me, Elliott, and Dr. Bussell.
I am calling because I have a little bit of a challenge for your listeners. And I totally admit I am guilty of this myself. I keep hearing so much about, well, what are they going to do? When are they going to do it? I want everybody who hears this, when you're about to scream about the Dems need to do this or da-da-da-da-da, stop and ask yourself, who did I call today? Who did I write today? Where did I volunteer today? Mm-hmm. Who did I sit down with who might not disagree and try to convince them to come over? It's not going to happen by all of us sitting around going, well, they better do something. They better do something. They better do something.
Yeah. Look, and I think that's part of what helps me manage my emotions. I mean, like I said, I went door knocking on Saturday in Wisconsin.
Exactly.
I can't believe I haven't talked about this yet. I was actually on Frat Row in at UW Whitewater. It was so funny. They had like big signs on the lawn that said honk and we'll drink kind of stuff because it was St. Patrick's Day. And there were taco trucks at the frat houses, so they're having like green beer. I was like, this is fun. I'm in the right place. And I actually talked to two young men who were very excited to talk to me, two frat boys who were like, yeah, we didn't know there was an election. I guess we would have figured it out sooner or later. I'm like, well, I'm here sooner. It's April 1st, folks. Actually, there are municipal races all over the country, but Wisconsin has the most important race, which is the Supreme Court, Judge Susan Crawford. Elon Musk has put $12 million into this race. And I found out it's also for business interests because it's illegal for manufacturers of automobiles to sell direct to market, and he wants to sidestep that. And the Supreme Court of Wisconsin has that apparently coming up.
That's why he cares.
That's why he cares. Mm-hmm. Well, also there's an 1849 abortion ban because he's got 14. He wants everyone else to have as many kids. So a lot of things that he doesn't think Americans should have access to, including all the support services that keep us really in a position to pursue the life, liberty, and happiness. Since he wasn't born here, not that he had to be born here, but how are we letting this guy, this trillionaire, almost trillionaire, come in here and tell us how to run our country? I'll never get over it. I'll never get over it, Steve.
Well, Patty, if you get sick, why don't you just take one of your dad's emeralds and sell it and use that to pay the doctor?
I forgot to put them in my pockets today.
I know, exactly.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you. Yeah. And then, well, that's the great thing. We talk about healthcare prices, and that's why seeking, the traditional medicines of other cultures, I think seeking out acupuncture gives people an opportunity to sort of have a positive impact on how they function.
Yes, and that's what we do is we try and put the power in the people. Right now, the practice of medicine in the West is the prescription of medicine, which is saying you just keep abusing yourself as much as you want and just buy our pills and that'll take care of everything. And if the pills cause problems, then take some more pills to fix those problems. And what I do with the Asian diet with all my patients is try and teach them where's the symptom coming from in the first place, and it's your body asking you to change something usually. So we pay attention to that, and then you don't need me, you don't need the medicines, you don't need the Western doctors nearly as much. And that's my goal for my patients, and that's, I think, the goal of a lot of holistic practitioners is to empower people and task them with being responsible for their wellness.
Outstanding. And we should be. That's the one thing, to Steve's point, we get frustrated because we want this taken care of. Mm-hmm. First, take care of yourself. That's why I ask if you're hydrating. Elliott, are you hydrated?
I'm hydrated.
Dr. Bussell, are you hydrated?
I'm doing well, thanks. Yeah.
I made some green tea the other day and thought of you because I still had a couple pearls left. I know it's been a long time because I kept the last few because I'm like, I have to remember what brand this is. So I took a picture of the bag.
I'll bring it to you next month. Yes.
No worries, my friend. Yeah. No worries. I appreciate that. So again, chicomaku.com to schedule an appointment, and the phone number
773-853-0920.
All right. Thank you so much for that. And Elliott, we're heading home to have corned beef and cabbage.
So I believe.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, it's definitely going to happen. It's whether or not the soda bread. Which I accidentally made powder bread. I have to put that in the oven. We might be eating around 9. How's Miss Money Penny going to be?
She'll be fine.
Okay, good. Thank you all so much for joining us. I want to thank our sponsors, Source Solar. Go to source.solar for more information. MonacoBrewingCompany.com, AreYouReallyWinning.com, and KidsAboveAll.com. We'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you, Lady B. Randy Rhodes is up next, followed by Matt McNeil. Be well, everyone, and happy birthday again, Lady B. You should have the whole month.